Daredevil is my favorite superhero show, bar none. So when they announced after years that it was getting a 4th season on Disney+, all I could feel was excitement and an urge to pick up my heart medication since the original show of Daredevil is now 10 years old. Check me into an old person's home. For me, there was no way this show could be a loss for me, because if the 4th season sucked, it's fine. I'll always have the first 3 Netflix seasons that stand alone as their own continuity that I can always cherish as their own thing. But what if this was great? Something that lived up to the Netflix show, or is it even possible? Can I say it? What if it somehow surpassed it? In that glorious alternate world, I would have 2 cakes. So, is Daredevil Born Again that good? Well, it isn't a total failure. It wasn't awful or atrocious or ruined the show I loved, but it also wasn't great, and I would really hesitate to really call it good. I would say at its best, it's incredible, and at its most consistent, it's barely serviceable. Daredevil Born Again is a show that I think on a conceptual level, not due to the actual story, but due to the insane production, ends up being one of the most interesting shows, and more interesting than the show itself. I've never seen a show's messy production end up crashing through into the actual art as hard as this show, because you can't ignore it. So let's talk about why Daredevil Born Again almost works. Initially, this show was pitched as an 18-episode, 1-season show that the MCU was going to produce. Let's be real, when it comes to money, Marvel is pretty smart. They know that their biggest movie character is Spider-Man, and for their television shows, their biggest character is Daredevil. That's their guy. And Disney Plus has been in a slump for a while now with their television shows not producing as many views as they probably want, so they had a lot riding on Daredevil Born Again. So they produced the first 6 episodes of the original 18-episode run, and then the writer's strike happened, and it allowed Marvel to look over what had happened and realize they wanted to go in a different creative direction. They were a third of the way through production and just scrapped the rest of the show. They brought on a new crew with new writers, and they brought on the directors of Moon Knight and Loki. They brought back the old legacy characters from the Netflix show, and tried to jerry-rig this season into being the original Daredevil tone that you know and love, but at the same time they were still stuck with the original ideas that the initial show had set up. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the actual show, spoilers for all of it. If you want just a number score or whatever, just to know if you should watch it or not, it's like a 6 out of 10. Got that out of the way? Okay, let's talk about the actual show. So the show starts off with Foggy, Matt's best friend, one of the main 3 characters from the original Netflix show, getting killed off in the first 10 minutes. This choice immediately starts off Matt's journey that he will go through for the rest of the show. For choosing to kill off Foggy, I think it was a pretty strong choice, and I understand why they would want to do that. I think it's a pretty interesting and unique and bold way to bring Daredevil back after the pretty definitive end to season 3, and whether you like it or not, killing off Foggy is a strong catalyst for this story. This starts off Matt Murdock's main want in this show, and that is to put Daredevil behind him after Foggy's death, to move on with his life and forget everything that he's gone through by throwing himself into this brand new law firm with this brand new cast of characters that we haven't met. And this is the first time we see of the old production idea of having this show be a soft reboot of the entire Netflix show. The whole season, though, is about Matt realizing that he cannot keep living this lie, and Kingpin's arc also mirrors it. Kingpin is elected mayor of New York City in the first episode and is trying to submerge his inner rage and criminal activity to be an actual mayor, but it's something they realize that he can't have contained, and his pacifism is actually destroying his relationships due to how they were built off of hatred and rage that he founded when he was Kingpin. Both characters are on the same but opposite tracks, finding that they need to return to their past and return to who they really are. A great concept for a season, with it showing that a new take on Daredevil without the legacy characters doesn't work for Matt or Fisk, but it also shows the failure of the season's concept itself. It instantly calls into question the validity and quality of the story that we are writing. With how the production changed and how we have this brand new cast, we feel like Matt. Something is just wrong with this show. Whether it's the production style, the new characters, or the bizarre lighter tone mixed in with heavy themes, everything just feels off. Metatextually, this is a genius stroke of luck for the writers, allowing us to realize with Matt that this life he is living is a lie. In reality though, as a viewer, it leads to episodes 2 through 7, which were the original show before the overhaul, feeling like an absolute slog outside of one episode. Episode 4. Episode 4 is the only episode through the original run that works, showing that Matt isn't doing enough and should return as Daredevil. His meetup with the Punisher is fantastic, helping him realize and confront for the first time that his best friend is really dead. For the first time in the entire show, Matt really gets to confront his guilt. And this is something we won't see happen again in the entire show until basically the final episode. And then he actually starts training to be Daredevil. We're seeing his character actually progress. Finally, we are back on track and on the right stage with the show. Then we watch episode 5, we're right back to stage 1 with his character arc. And I think this is the worst part of the show. There is a lack of flow in this season. This show had the most insane lack of continuity and congruity I've ever seen in a recent Marvel show. Matt, through the entire show, is trying to put Daredevil behind him, and terrible things keep happening to him, proving that he needs to return to that life. Yet he will just forget the tragedies that just keep happening to him like he has Alzheimer's. His client, White Tiger, gets killed. Whatever, I'll move on. He fights a serial killer. Muse knocks him out. I thought, oh great, Matt took care of that problem. Nope, he just let Muse get away, and then he's back fighting again in episode 7. Matt will yell at the end of episode 2, showing, oh, he's back as Daredevil because there's corrupt cops in the city. Wait, nope. Oh, episode 4, he's training, he's gonna come back. Oh wait, nope. Oh, episode 6, I guess will he now be Daredevil? Oh wait, no, all those other ones actually gave him a reason to be Daredevil, but this one he just says F it and just decides to be Daredevil again. I'm losing my mind. And that goes with all the side characters in this show as well. Characters will just emerge and leave the show whenever. Ben Urich's niece, who does the BB report, will just come and go, whenever, popping up in the random last episode reminding us she was in the show at all. Punisher shows up for one episode, steals the show, and then dips for the rest of the season until Karen shows up, and then he's back with a fresh cut fumbling the conversation. That's actually very good writing and very relatable. And don't get me on the sim characters that they replaced the main cast with. Everyone at Matt's law firm are NPCs, I don't care about them, and his girlfriend is the biggest sim character of them all. In literal conversations she's having with Matt, I feel like she has no agency and that God is just randomly clicking a random place in the apartment for her to walk towards and randomly interact with. She just ping-pongs around these different characters' motivations and just follows whoever she had a conversation with last without a single thought in her head. Does she have a single goal in her own life or what she wants for herself? Like, I'm not saying this has to be a Citizen Kane level of character, but she needs to want or do something. This woman has nothing going on in her life. And just like her, the show lacks a sense of direction. Daredevil Born Again is a bizarre season of television because the whole show is undoing what it set up with its new status quo. We thought that to some degree this was going to be season 4 of Daredevil. In reality though, it's a show that had to take its initial premise and where it was heading and had to narratively reroute itself so Daredevil Born Again season 2 can be the first true return to that original Netflix tone. And you might be asking, do we really want to return to that style and writing of Netflix Daredevil? It's been 10 years, maybe we need a new reinterpretation. The answer is yes, we do want to return to that Netflix tone. I'm fine with new writers taking on a new approach to a character and reinterpreting him. I'm fine with Daredevil being reinterpreted. I love the Daredevil film, but also at the same time, I wouldn't want the Daredevil film's tone to be the 4th season of Daredevil. If you're going to make the show lighter in tone, less visually creative, and not shot as well, then why are we going with the old cast? Why are we making it a continuation of a show that stood for none of those ideals? I love the original Netflix show, and seeing the 3 episodes that were directed by the new team in this season made me so happy. Seeing that true return to form in the last episode with Daredevil with better lighting, cinematography, action, and just writing, with the original cast returning and knocking it out of the park with their performances, it was delightful. I felt like a kid on Christmas. And it makes me so excited for Born Again Season 2, especially with the leaks of the suit and the tone they're going for. Woo! It looks like peak, I'm sorry. But looking back at this season of Daredevil Born Again, it leaves this season in a very bizarre position. This season is basically a giant mulligan of a season of television, course correcting itself rather than just not releasing and restarting with a new creative team. And I don't think I've seen a television series ever do that. So is Daredevil Born Again a disaster? Not really. Is it underwhelming? Most definitely. And it's by a mile the weakest season of Daredevil. But at the same time, it still feels way better than it should be due to great performances dragging the worst episodes out of the dumps. And that's something not every MCU show has the luxury of. Most MCU shows that get dogged on are due to poor writing and direction, and the actors not being able to save it and then taking all of the blame. Charlie Cox should know he starred in one of those shows. But he and Vincent D'Onofrio pulled the worst episodes out of the mud by themselves, and it shows. Their love for these characters is infectious, and people give this show the benefit of the doubt for that reason. The writing and direction and performances at time by our main characters is so strong it proves that more Devil is never a bad thing. But when you compare it to the Netflix show, it really does illuminate its own flaws and the utter brilliance of the original Netflix series, and how most likely nothing from this era will end up surpassing it. Born Again, like most revival seasons of a TV show, falls into the category of good enough. And if you're a viewer like me who loves Daredevil with all their heart, it's honestly a good enough time to watch through. Cause seeing old Hornhead back at it again makes me so happy, and I'm glad to say I think it will only go up from here. Please give Bullseye his black suit. Why is he in a Baron Zemo cosplay? I know it's supposed to be a callback to the Zdarsky Bullseye, but he doesn't look like that. Give Wilson Bethel some drip. He clearly likes to be dripping in real life, and give Bullseye more material and allow him to listen to some Kendrick Lamar. That man is a treasure.